need to get in raid mode. Yeah, we're gonna want to be in AoE build. What am I giving up when I go single target? I'm giving up that row. I mean, we're gonna have to have AoE. It's kind of not an option on the mythic difficulty. So nice to have all these different trinkets to swap out. Yeah.
I am still in things.
Unfortunately, this is not a fight we can get away with not being able to AoE very effectively in. We're gonna have to just take the L on the single target throughput, or else we're gonna get smoked. On the meters. And I do think Dark Ranger is the correct spec for raiding right now. I am sad to say that I think that is actually true. But it's as we predicted, right? I was opining before this patch even came out that it's always been Blizzard's design strategy to, when you've got a choice between two things, to just buff the one no one's using until it's much better than the one everyone's using, and then everybody has to switch. And we call that balancing.
Damn.
So it's kind of not surprising that Dark Ranger is so good.
What?
In a raid environment.
Third of the way there.
I'm at 289. Have you guys been like grinding it on, you know, specifically? What? How the
Just
fuck do you have that much?
Killing stuff.
What are you talking about?
That.
Starts off from killing a rare mob down.
10 minus 576.
Yeah, you need to go
Assume
kill
the
that
time
rare, so
all
at
in.
least you're just passively getting them, you know?
Okay, we've actually made a little bit of progress.
He's northeast of the city.
Now we only need 20 timed mythic pluses to cap out on Harbinger Crest. That used to be closer to 23, 24. So we are slowly catching up.
It announces it when it's in the area. Your DPM goes up.
It's going to be really cool
What?
to finally cap out on Gilded Crest.
No, it's like 6 hours.
We're going to get there.
Oh yeah.
It has a really long timer.
He has another raid. I asked him. He has another guild's raid and shortly, or he would have came.
Are we going to try and 19-man this? Are we going to attempt to do that?
Are we gonna have the 5 guilds?
I don't know. Potentially. Hog is still fairly undergeared. But I mean, we could try for it and just see for a pull or two.
We're probably better off 5 healing. Not even that.
Couldn't quite finish my pre-stream snack in time.
Rather know now, that way I get the right flask and all everything.
Yeah.
I realized live on camera I wanted a cup of yogurt. I had the urge to eat some yogurt. I think my internal macros alarm was going off. I was saying like, hey Bucky Brown. That's what my internal voice sounds like. You're gonna miss your macros if you don't get an emergency protein supplement in here, stat. And the protein cookie you're eating is not gonna be enough. I said, okay, fucking fine, god damn it. It takes so much effort to eat
Okay, pretty much same fight.
enough
from
protein.
For you couple that didn't do it with us, the webs will now stun you, so it's more important to stay out of them and to clear the correct ones. With the green circles, the green circles hurt a lot more, so you definitely need to use a cooldown, especially if you're on the lower item level side. When you get that toxic green circle that clears the webs, and we'll be tanking him on the edge. So right here where we're standing to start, and then soak circle goes to the middle. So first to blue, but once we move him, you know, it'll shift. Let's see.
Insane how this yogurt, because of the fruit,
Just groups here.
the fruit paste, has more calories than a Red Bull. But the good news is I burn a shit ton of calories every
Okay,
day.
check your group.
I burn
Odds
3,700
will
calories
soak
a
the odd
day.
ones, first, third, etc. Evens will soak the even ones, 2, 4, etc. That's the other mythic changes. You get debuff, so you can only soak every other time. But every single person needs to soak. Yeah, and there will be a lock gate, and so make sure you've got your gateway control shard, or you've set up that keybind for mouth or whatever the fuck that keybind is. But you want one or the other.
The on-use key, the interact key.
Interact, yep.
One thing I have noticed for interact key users, if you are running away from the pole, you might struggle to interact with the Warlock portal. So you have to face it to interact with it. It's a little note from my own personal experience.
Sweet.
Are we gonna just one-tap this guy? Duke Vulture, great to see you, man. I'm doing as well as can be expected. Working 6 days a week,
Okay, watch your feet.
streaming 6 days a week, working out when I can,
Make sure you're clearing
trying to live,
behind and towards the
trying to
middle.
thrive, trying so hard to do those things. I hope you are living and thriving as well, Duke. It's great to see you.
Okay, get ready to soak odds.
We do have some stuff to watch, of course. And I might even check on
Soak.
with Hassan.
Go back to mid.
Oh man, yeah, you gotta go way back,
further,
bro.
further.
Oh my god. That was
Yeah, you gotta
an
take that. You gotta get like 20 yards away.
insufficient
and you
amount of
get
going
that
back.
on Mythic.
Watch your step.
It's fine.
Okay, watch B.
I also shouldn't have soaked in that one because
That's
I'm
coming use
in the
personal
even
equipment.
group. They changed me without me noticing. That's great. That's fine. That's so fine.
Even soak. Even soak. Alright, let's jump and start over.
Yep.
That's it. That's the phase. Rinse and repeat.
Watch your step.
And it's not that I'm by any means tired of talking politics.
Relax.
I'm a real sick freak. I enjoy talking politics. I enjoy yapping. But last couple days, I've certainly been able to eat my fill at the table of political discussion.
Charging.
And so lately, I just find myself thinking, you know, I've said all I got to say about all that. So let's just talk about World of Warcraft, right? Crazy idea. So I've got the absolutely loveliest World of Warcraft podcast pulled up to listen to during the raid. It's the indescribably wonderful Taliesin Nevitel.
My name is Taliesin.
And I'm Evital.
And the WoW podcast, obviously.
Episode number.
31.
It's episode number 31, and it's the WoW podcast, and we're here.
Yeah, we are currently, so we'll
Their mics are a little soft.
Rank us up, baby.
Let's whack it up, fam.
Whack it up, fam.
There we go. Now they're whacking up their mics.
We might still be having technical issues. We're gonna have to wait and hear.
Like,
You guys.
I don't know if you caught my...
It's all right. So
I don't know if you caught my stream
right before the
last
heat,
night,
so the
dude,
overlap gets a
but
little
my
hectic just 'cause,
overarching
like,
point
it's
is
the
basically
circles
that
go right into the soaks.
the
You just gotta
system
make
of
sure you use
government
coins if
that
you
we
do
are
it's a
taught
circle.
provides checks and balances for itself is actually explicitly designed to create a manufactured consent of, you know, so-called we the people. We allow a minority to rule us
Okay, watch B.
because we agree to the rules of this system. And it's not all that different from the divine right of kings, the mandate of heaven. It's just some additional lore that we as human beings have needed to kind of build into our governmental structure over the centuries to be able to continue to buy minority rule. I keep hearing people being like, "Oh, the majority of people voted for Trump." No. There were over 200 million eligible voters, and Trump didn't even pull 80 mil. He didn't get a majority of the vote. But because we all believe in this very, very silly system and just consent to let it do what it does to our lives. And my big point last night was like, we explicitly venerate effectively the dictators, the people that seize power under this system. FDR, Ronald Reagan.
Pyramid, even
You will
Jerry
not
Soak.
find someone that does not venerate either FDR
Even
or
Soak.
Ronald Reagan or both in this country. And both of them did the exact same thing. They seized all three branches of government and then bent that government to their will to be able to deliver the political outcome that they wanted. And people love them for it. People don't fucking want checks and balances. People don't want, you know, democracy if it means nothing gets better and things only get worse.
Oh, yeah, nuts.
And
My bad.
I led with that because then if you think back to the Red
Yeah, we're in a
Scare,
good spot
and
here.
even
Shoot
before
these
that,
things
you know,
out.
in the
Watch charge.
1920s, 1930s, the discrediting of left-wing
Watch out.
authoritarian politics, right? Like, oh, communism,
Can't hand
left-wing
whips, watch charge.
authoritarianism is especially bad. We can never have that. Well, if you then create a
Charge.
political
I'll say that.
environment where people no longer want democracy and kind of want an authoritarian government, you've already primed them to reject any left-wing version of that whatsoever. And so right-wing
Okay,
authoritarianism
feeding.
becomes the only option. That
Watch your
when
feet, watch your feet.
people
We can get it clear here.
lose
Being
faith
the boss.
in democracy and they want an autocracy instead, well, we as America have already collectively ruled out, well, we can't have a left-wing autocracy. No, no, no. That'd be the worst. But a right-wing authoritarian, yeah, that's the only option. It's either democracy or a right-wing authoritarian. It's almost like 100 years ago, they knew that in order to have a right-wing
there's the whole fight.
authoritarian
Let's jump in, start
takeover
over,
of our
take it
country,
down.
the very first thing they would have to do is discredit left-wing authoritarian politics, and the rest would fall into place over time as people just use the ridiculous game that is our system to make a farce of democracy. So, while this is not by any notion a great outcome, what I tried to emphasize last night is that it's also not a new outcome. This has happened several times in the history of our country, and this is what our system is explicitly designed to do. This is what the founding fathers wanted. They wanted the appearance of a game
Sorry, I was trained not to
that
do
could
this.
be won so that then power, capital, a minority, an aristocracy could then rule us with our consent. Because there are a lot more of us than there are of them. And we don't have to accept things the way they are, but we just do because we absolutely love this game that we're all playing, that we're all bought into. And we even venerate the people that, win the game. FDR, Reagan. FDR got elected 4 fucking times. Yeah, like they really want us to believe that they'll let us vote away their wealth and power. Where's my soundboard?
No, no, no.
Those with wealth and power, capital, the aristocrats of this country, the billionaires of this country, the CEOs of this country, they will never allow us to vote away their wealth and power. And so the very fact that people are like, well, I guess we just got to accept that we're going to have a right-wing authoritarian government now. It's like, yeah, the reason why that appeals to people is that democracy has given them jack shit. And they've got a pretty strong, but I would say misguided hope that, well, okay, if we just let an autocrat do his thing, then that'll work out materially better for me. And, it might work out materially better for me specifically because, I am a white.
Oh, it's getting ready in 5.
I'm a white man. I'm already playing the game on the lowest difficulty and not doing a great job, if I say so myself. My material conditions are fucking awful. But Kamala never once offered anyone anything. I kind of wrapped up my thinking last night on this bar from Meet the Grahams where Kendrick says of Aubrey, of Drake, why should I believe you? You never gave us nothing to believe in. Something to that effect. And it's like, yeah.
Even scary.
Why should we believe
Even
in
so.
Kamala? She never gave us nothing to believe in. All she had to do was lie like Barack Obama. That got him elected. He was able to fucking murder and pillage and do all the things that every other president did, including completely bail out Wall Street while abandoning Main Street.
So what, where are you gonna
And
get
we
the-
elected him twice. We fucking loved him. All because he would just lie. Like,
We got a web
just
in the back.
just offer people something and they will vote.
Yeah, we're gonna
But
be shifting.
they
We
really
just
showed their
charged.
ass on this
Make sure
one
you gotta
because
charge.
neither party offered anyone
Shifting over
anything.
here.
Both parties just said, hey, you're voting for the mascot. You're voting for the face and the name. And who's got a stronger
paint.
face and name
You
recognition in
gotta
this
charge
country
to the edge.
than Donald Trump?
Charging.
Gonna charge right on us. Stay up
And I've
ahead,
seen
one
so
way or
many
the other.
people just like not knowing how to do math, right? Like, it's not the majority of Americans that voted for Trump. That's not what happened. But it's not even that the majority of America is white supremacist. Like, I've heard that one a lot. Like, oh, the majority of America is white supremacist. Well, it turns out that about 55% of white people are white supremacists. That really sucks. And white people are the majority of the people in this country. So I can see how it's easy to make that intellectual leap. But when you've got a majority and then a majority of that majority, all of a sudden they're a minority, in the exact same way that when you've got only 2/3 of the country voting and 1/3 sitting out for a myriad of reasons, not just to make a political statement, but because of all of the direct barriers and problems with being able to vote. We don't make it easy to vote in this country. We make it
it's in
really hard to
option
vote in this country. So a lot of
keybinds,
people just fucking can't.
targeting.
They got too much on their fucking plates.
Targeted. How do I target?
And so once again,
You don't have
1/3
to
not
actually
voting,
target it. It
1/3
just
voting
works.
team
Is it-
blue,
is it,
1/3 voting
interact
team
with the
red.
mouse over or
That's
interact
not
with target?
majority
Which one is
rule.
it?
And
Those
it's
who use
just
it, is it
so
interact
wild
with
to me
mouse over or interact with target
that
can't remember.
people
We're talking about the what? The
for the
buy
game.
into this
I just
game
click
so
on it now.
completely that they
Well, I know
take
some
certain
people use it
things like
Shadow,
as
I know
read.
You do.
Like, oh yeah, if you don't vote,
I
you're not a
agree,
person.
You should just have the gateway
Like,
control
what?
starter. It works better, but
And the really funny thing, the really absurd thing,
Cannot get a res. Apparently, I was out of range.
it's that way.
I don't know. Do most vendors have it now? I don't.
Oh, it's still like it's like the general miscellaneous vendors as opposed to specialized ones. The ones that you can find like the thread and sometimes some of the dyes on. Yeah, and exactly. There's one right next to the spider place. That's a good one.
so yeah. I know I did
get
say
that
we were
swing.
going to not get political and go right into the World of Warcraft stuff, but it's just so disappointing to see people whose opinions that I respect, people that I've generally liked, misconstrue what this all is.
How the hell did you get it while you
And
were inside
the
ridge?
really frustrating thing about
Oh,
being a
I didn't
leftist
realize I thought they were
is
just
you have more in common with racist Trump voters
Yeah, so now
than
just put that
the
on your bar and have a
millionaire
good keybind for
celebrities
it,
that
and
you
then
actually like.
Just click that keybind.
Like well, I mean, people are excited about this outcome specifically because they recognize that Trump
I think it
is
wa- it
so
was,
stupid and
500 gold
capricious
or something
that
back
he
there, so
might
it's not like that
inadvertently
bad.
do left-wing
but-
shit just because he can put his face and name on it and have it like
Hey,
help his
go
personal
buy
brand.
20 of them,
Like
throw 'em on the auction house.
it's not lost on me that Trump gave us $2,000 and Biden gave us $1,200. Like, oh,
I do too.
I think that still
But
applies.
we need
People that are
less
excited
people
about him
in
being a god king,
web.
again, they look
Watch
at
fucking feet,
democracy
please.
and ask, what the fuck has this gotten
And
me?
We can't lose anyone to
People
the
can
one.
choose to vote away my rights. People can choose to vote away my
let's
health
do it.
care. Maybe what I need instead is a capricious, stupid God King, because maybe he's just going to do right by me by accident. He's not trying to do right by me. He doesn't give a shit about me, especially if I'm not white. But he might just fuck up and do shit that benefits me.
That's coming clear mid,
Plus,
personal.
this country has a very, very
Yes.
long history of capital colluding with Republicans specifically. The United States has, for more than a century now, its corporations and its capital
get ready, so-
have colluded to give favorable economic outcomes during Republican presidencies,
so-
during Republican control. This has long been the covenant of capital and the right wing in the United States, where if there's, and Democrats are also right wing, but they're not as right wing as the Republicans. If there's ever a Democrat in power, capital will fight like hell to give them the worst economy they reasonably can. And then as soon as any Republican gets voted in, things take off like gangbusters. We're already seeing huge rallies in the stock market, aka rich people gambling. 10% of people own 90% of stocks. We're already seeing that. And we're going to see more of that. And so I think people that are excited about him being a god king just recognize, like, okay, you know, maybe he'll fuck up and just like give me some good shit by accident. I'd like some good shit. No one's ever given me good shit my whole fucking life, and everyone that promised to was a goddamn liar. So, kind of the genius of Trump not promising any explicit outcomes, just talking in broad terms about his own cult of personality, means there aren't really any promises for him to break. He's always been super pie in the sky, and folks are just betting that when he has to come down to earth and make actual policy, that on the mean, it will help them more than it will hurt them. And I will say, anecdotally, like, my life got better under Trump and got worse after Trump. I spent my whole young adult life under Obama working in retail, working multiple retail jobs, absolutely getting my shit pushed in. And I ended that tenure of my life by getting a job in a call center. And then Trump gets elected. The call center I'm working for gets acquired by a bigger company. I get the option to effectively move to work at that new company at a much cushier role with a lot more money than I was making before. And then after Trump leaves office, after COVID, I get laid off from that job in a workforce reduction. Not due to my own performance, but due to that thing that companies have been doing for the last several years now, where in order to appease shareholders, they've got to lay off people pretty much every quarter. And I got smacked up by that, and my life has been significantly worse ever since. And I'm now in the worst economic position of my entire life. And now Trump has been elected again. And if I suddenly find myself getting interviews and getting one of these nice, you know, office jobs, if that just suddenly happens because a Republican is president, you know, is that a thank you Trump situation? No, it's a fuck this country situation, but it's still what I'm talking about, where capital colludes with Republicans to provide a better economy. So like, I don't blame people for thinking, yeah, autocrat Trump, this shit's gonna bang. I soaked when I shouldn't have in that round as well. Like, I think it's an extremely callous way to look at it, right? Like, when you look at how mass deportation is carried out, when you look at how gutting the FDA, the EPA, the FCC.
Hey, watch for this charge. Get the counter or clockwise one way or the other.
Like, I think there's a very real chance that unions are fucking cooked.
Back to the edge on the things.
I think they're going to probably kill Sean Fain. Because Sean Fain's been working to build towards a general strike in 2028. And this country has a long and proud history of literally killing unions and union leaders. I think unions are done. I think a lot of things are going to change for the absolute worst for the majority of people. But there will be people
Make sure
that see
everyone
some
is helping
gains.
feed.
There will be some people that come out of this saying, "Oh, my life got better." And I think that it's very much in line with American individualism and this notion of "fuck you, got mine." That it's kind of at the core of the American personality, and it's not even like a temporarily embarrassed millionaires thing. I'm just talking purely like this country thrives on being selfish and self-serving, not looking out for anyone but number one. That's our culture.
Watch your step.
So I'm not surprised at all
That's a
that people
comment.
look at Trump and say, yeah, God King Trump might be better than democracy, because democracy, as I've experienced it in the last 25 to 30 years, has been fucking dog shit. And it's the exact
Here, it's
reason
okay.
why I'm a left-wing
It's so-
authoritarian. Like, you are not going to get the option to vote on whether or not you receive free health care. You don't get to vote on whether or not you get guaranteed shelter and food.
You stood in the
You
circle,
don't get to
brother.
vote on whether or not you get to be treated as a human being with human dignity. You will
At gunpoint.
accept
That's
this.
coming
That
from
is
something
the
that-
society
Gotta get elevated.
that I would like. And I dislike democracy for this exact reason. Democracy is what gave us
You just
slavery.
so-
Democracy is what allows you to manufacture this mistaken belief. Oh no, fuck. I'm dead. Democracy is what allows you to manufacture this mistaken belief of majority rule. When every democracy, at least of the so-called first world nations, has all these clever little rules and caveats that make it not quite a democracy and that allow a minority to still control power. People just like that fantasy. They like that game. And they're all scared of like, oh, like, that's why China's bad, bro. Like, they're authoritarian. Right. They said,
At gunpoint.
you will have a place to live. You will have health care. You will have a better standard of living. You will learn to read. You will learn to write. You do not have a choice. And I don't think you should be able to use democracy to vote away people's rights. I don't think you should be able to have a free market when it comes to things like housing or health care. There should be a very specific floor established for human decency, and it should be dictated by the very things that we as animals need to survive. We're the only animal paying rent to be on this planet. We invented money and then forced ourselves to pay rent to live here. It's unconscionable that the most left-wing message in this past election was Kamala's so-called opportunity economy, where you have the opportunity to have good economic outcomes. Well, what if that opportunity doesn't come, right? Every game has winners and losers. Every game gives you the opportunity to win. Well, what if you don't win? You just get to go die in the street, I guess, because no one gives a shit about you. No, 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 no. I will not allow people to vote away the rights of their fellow human beings. I will not allow people to vote away basic decency that we provide fucking animals.
Is it coming? Clear mid.
But because left-wing authoritarianism is so thoroughly disgraced and discouraged in this country, like culturally, it's like the most heinous. Oh my God, 100 million people dead. Oh my God, 10 billion people dead because of communism. It's even worse than right-wing authoritarianism, they'd say. You know what's got the highest body count? Neoliberal capitalism. You know what's got the highest body count? Liberal democracy.
Web's coming. Watch your feet.
Watch your step.
Just like the divine right of kings, this is all just a fable that we tell ourselves to allow ourselves to be governed. And we could stop it at any time.
Remove the web.
Use personal.
Run out.
And so it's unconscionable to
Units.
me that people would just be like, yeah, well, you know, fuck those red states. They shouldn't have voted for Trump, and I hope they like what's coming. No, fuck you, dude. That's your countryman. That's your comrade. I don't want to be in community with these racist, hateful bigots. Well, I'm sorry, but you got more in common with them than you do with the celebrities that you love so very fucking much.
Ready for the charge.
Than the CEO at your company. Hell, than your manager at work.
Okay, we'll be shifting.
As soon as you forget your class position, as soon as you forget who your comrades are, and begin letting the people with capital
On us, shift
divide
counter.
you
Right.
up by superficial markers, and they can be heinous
Right on us,
markers.
shift clockwise
Trump
left.
supporters, right wingers, racists, they say a lot of shit I don't fucking like.
Personal, stay alive. Shift
But I'm not going to deny them their rights or their human dignity because I find them repugnant. They are still my comrades.
Watch your step.
Yeah, the purple.
And the whole reason why they believe in so-called God
I
King
will
Trump
clear when webs land this
is
time.
they can't think of an alternative to
Start
democracy that isn't a God King.
Don't hit
They've
those
been
webs.
told unions are evil. They've been told communism is evil. They've been told socialism is evil. Socialism isn't even that left wing, honestly. Socialism is just democratic control of your fucking workplace. Like, that's fucking light. That's fucking weak tea. We can do a lot better than having
Yeah,
a
we gotta get
democratic
these
say
webs
in
out.
our fucking workplace. That's fucking weak as hell. We can do better than even that. And even that is like, oh,
Webs coming.
oh my God, that's so left. It's so scary. But arriving authoritarian, yeah, we can try that. That's for some reason palatable to me, the general
Yeah,
American
it's a quick
dumbass.
release person.
And I include myself in that. I am also a general American dumbass. I just happen to be a bit more aware of my own class position and how desperately Capital would love to fuck my shit up if it does. Capital has
so
fucked
nuts.
my life up. Let's be fucking real.
Run out.
Hot soak.
Group 1 shift.
Exactly, and our system does breed authoritarians in the workplace. We are taught to fetishize authoritarians, small business tyrants, middle managers,
Don't watch
senators,
feet.
state elected officials, police officers. Like, our culture is full of venerating petty authoritarians, little mini tyrants. Americans are obsessed with that shit.
Run out.
So it's small
Even
wonder
ready.
that
Things
people
up,
found
things
it
up.
appealing for their future form of government. And I don't even think it's necessarily wrong to say, like, I'm going to bet, like,
Okay, get ready to phase.
I'm a
Nothing,
wrecker.
go web off
I'm
the
a
edge.
burn it all down wrecker. And if there's one thing Trump's going to do, he's going to burn it all down this time. And whatever happens next, that's got to be good for me, right? And I mean, ignoring the fact
then
there is no
mid,
left-wing
makes no that
movement under right-wing fascism, like, that just doesn't happen. I'm sorry. Like, they will just kill you.
Charge,
You
yeah.
don't get to have a movement if you're politically inconvenient. Never minding that, you know, as I said,
right.
there might be individual windfalls for some individuals somewhere
On us,
along the
get
way,
shift to a side.
and people could just be making that bet. Like, you know, I'm going to go ahead and take
Charge,
this
stay left.
machine of money and blood and bone and bile that we usually just use on other
Yeah, purple.
people, that we usually just use on other countries. And I'm going to turn it on my
Someone
own
clear when
countrymen
webs land.
because I believe that it will be them and not me
Okay, clear between
when the
us.
machine begins doing its
Start
work.
feeding.
I believe that when Bortak is going door to door, black bagging people off the street and throwing them in camps where they have to be concentrated so they can be processed to be removed from this country,
Okay, we got him.
that won't affect me or anyone I give a shit about. And that will somehow make my life better. And even if they're not self-aware enough to think about things on these terms, Duke Vulture,
Acid coming,
I
clear mid, up
I
clear.
do think that there is a self-serving
Yeah,
self-awareness
back
of my life was better under Trump than it was under Biden, and I don't know why. Like I talked about with how my own personal financial situation got significantly worse, and I do mean significantly worse under Biden, and got significantly better under Trump.
I
Like,
gotcha.
if that was as far as my own analysis went, that would be enough to make me say, well, then I better vote for Trump because I want the good shit to come back around again.
Lucian Union
And
is so
I don't
nuts,
begrudge
by the way.
anyone for being that stupid, by the way.
I think
It is a
chaos runs
luxury
well.
to be able to
Yeah,
have the
totally.
mental bandwidth to be able to have any kind of class awareness. This society is designed to absolutely obliterate class consciousness. Not even just through propaganda, though obviously the propaganda is thick and unending, but specifically through the hundreds of little errands and distractions and commodities and just all the noise, just the overwhelming din of everything going on around us. There's no time in the day to even
Great
fucking
pace,
think.
Don't get knocked into a
We're all just burned the fuck out on this overstimulating, unfulfilling
Watch
society.
where the heads are, then watch the charge.
And so I don't blame anyone for not being a big enough nerd to say, well, what would Kropotkin
Okay,
think?
watch this charge.
No, they're just like, man, all I know is I wake up tired and I never get any rest and I don't know how I'm going to make it. God, I hope that my life gets better. And you know what? Me too, brother. It's exactly why you're my comrade, because we
You're right.
both just want our
Right, get the
fucking
edge.
lives to get better. That's all any of us want.
Guys,
Charging.
That was a bunch of bodies
stay on the
right
edge
there.
here.
We caught a bunch of bodies. That was crazy. How many bodies were caught in that one?
Watch your step.
Get out of purple.
Uh-oh. This might catch my body. Yep, it did. Unfortunate. I even used cheetah. I could have used disengage and made it out. That was stupid of me. But yes. So obviously I had a much longer winded rant about that yesterday, but this all just comes down to the way that our society was created in a petri dish by aristocrats, the so-called founding fathers, and this is all very much by design. This atomization, this disconnected feeling, this overwhelmed 24/7 feeling, like, this is victory for the aristocrats. This is victory
got
for
him
capital.
dazed.
The aristocrats actually managed to get us to believe they went away, and they never did. We've still been ruled by our ruling class like we have all the way through human history, and that's probably never going to stop, to be honest, right?
I
Like,
think probably
this is
everyone
why
except the first one.
in my 20s,
Pretty mid.
I wrestled with,
Stuff
am I an
like
anarchist or am I an authoritarian? Because I'm
Yeah,
sure
let's
as shit
just
not a
also
liberal
this one, and then
Democrat.
hope we
I'm
can kill
I'm
him
sure as
before
shit
the
not a
evens,
fan of
so-
this democracy nonsense. So do I believe in anarchy? Can we really abolish
So-
all hierarchies? And I've come to believe that there is just no way to run a human society without some kind of hierarchy. We fucking fetishize
book 'em up.
hierarchy. Something in the way humans conceptualize the world, we just fucking love hierarchies. Hey, Disjoint,
Just
welcome.
clear
Good to
around.
see you, buddy.
Cool down. Better keep DPS on him.
I was trying to do WoW discourse only on this stream after it being very heavily politically tilted the last
Yeah,
few
you scroll by
days.
yourself. Don't suck
But
that.
I got to talking with
I don't
Duke
know what
Vulture and I
happened.
couldn't
You
help
also
myself.
kill him.
And
Fuck yes,
I-
good job.
I look at countries
Excellent. Let's roll.
like China that are admittedly not very democratic at all. One party system, authoritarian control. There are representatives selected at the local level. There is kind of a pseudo democratic element to that system. And I look at how China has transformed in the last 100 years, and I say, well, why can't we have that? Like, why are we accepting that we can't have that? We don't have to. We can just, have a better society. And if that's authoritarian, then yeah, I guess I'm authoritarian. Great. That's how I arrived at that realization, where it's like, oh, well, I don't want to be able to vote on if people deserve human rights or not. And I don't trust a lack of hierarchy to govern the way the human animal behaves. So yeah, if some guy is just like, yeah, brother, you got no point.
At gunpoint.
You're going to have a better society. Shit. So maybe in a Star Trek style future where we've solved scarcity entirely, we might be able to do some like no hierarchy shit. Because I really, really do think that the reason why we are so compelled as humans to form hierarchies is directly linked to scarcity. I think if there was no scarcity and through the miracle of technology, we just had unlimited abundance, we can create as much energy, as much food, as much whatever we needed to be able to have our society, and our society was no longer defined by scarcity, then I think anarchism, getting rid of hierarchies, could absolutely work. But as long as there is scarcity, there will be winners and losers, there will be haves and have-nots, and that will create a fulcrum through which people who want power and control can pull a lever that drives hierarchies. I think hierarchies and scarcity are intrinsically linked. Transmog. And I do think that anarchism does work in the small scale. I think that especially in a very small scale, people do resent authoritarian systems. I think it's why in a lot of like post-apocalyptic stories, zombie stories, etc., those kinds of authoritarian systems don't work because they're too small. If the community is too small, authoritarianism will not be tolerated. But if the community is too large and complicated, hierarchies will impose themselves whether you want them to or not. And so you just have to accept there will be hierarchies and do the best you can with that information. And there's certainly a place for democratic elements in any government. Being able to use voting as a way to gauge engagement, opinion, sentiment, desire, so that the government can then take action in line with that, great. That's a great underlying concept. But it won't work with a lot of stuff. As we have seen, for example, with California not abolishing slavery. They put getting rid of slavery in California on the ballot, and they offered no opposition. Nobody was saying keep slavery. We're just saying like, hey, we still got slavery here in California. You want to get rid of it? And Californians said, nah, no, we don't want to do that. We do actually want to keep slavery. Thanks. What about rent control? You want that? Nah. No, we're good. We want that. That's cool. We don't want that at all, man. Go ahead and keep having rents be insane. That's cool. And that's the thing. Sometimes the electorate votes against its own self-interests. And especially then, democracy really fucking sucks. And I think that human beings have this intrinsic desire to not want to be governed by a force that they feel is doing them wrong. And we're conditioned under liberal democracy to believe like, oh, under any authoritarian system, you are being inherently done wrong by your government. So whether you feel it or not, whether it elicits feelings within your heart or not, it is certainly true. And so that is inherently bad. But you know, when democracy deprives you of health care, deprives you of housing, deprives you of hope, deprives you of security, deprives you of safety, is coldly indifferent to your suffering, that certainly embiggens a much larger sense of animosity than the simple act of being under an authoritarian. So it's not that shocking to me that people are like, sweet, got Emperor Trump, let's fucking do it. Got Emperor Trump sounds great. Because they've had democracy for longer than their grandparents have been around, and they think a God King will do better for them. And that's the really insidious thing. Some of them aren't wrong. That God King will do better by some of them, like incidentally, by accident. Some people's lives will be improved over the next 4 years. My life might be improved. I've said before on this stream that I have this theory that if Trump gets reelected, and that has come to pass, that because capital and because capitalists collude with the Republicans so closely, that it may suddenly become a lot easier for me to get a job like the one I lost in summer of 2023. Like, suddenly that kind of job might be on the menu again. And I know a lot of people, by the way, a lot of people that have been laid off from similar jobs and have not been able to find new ones.
As always, are on blue, evens green.
People like us
mythic changes
might incidentally benefit.
A random extra ad that's going to be like across the room. So we've got to have some DPS still with that.
This is Prague, by the way. This is Mythic Prague. We're Praguing.
Beam placement, of course, important tank with that. And then
this is Prague.
We will we'll randomly get a exploding circle around us. It does big damage to anyone else in the circle, so just keep those spread and, you know, get position, don't move, and wait till it comes off.
It all comes down to how is the government going to improve your material conditions? What are they doing for you? Because that's what a government is for. Yes, this is actually one of my favorite bosses.
Okay, go to your side. Make sure we got everyone.
This is a very fun boss.
What was it again? Odds on?
It's blue, even screen. Just make sure you're with your correct matching tank.
Oh no, Duke is in the ad break.
Yeah, we're missing Vlad from odds. It looks like it's the only.
Alright, so what's the difference? I forgot.
So there's an extra ad that's always going to be like clear across from where the
I will hold my commentary until the ad break ends.
We've got to, you know, send a couple of DPS over to deal with that. Make sure no little ads get in while everyone else kills the group of ads. And then we also get Blood Curdle, a circle around every single player that is a 5-second debuff, comes off and does a chunk of damage. And so you want to make sure those circles aren't overlapping. For odds, let's say me and Liquid will head over to the ad that's away from us. I don't know. I haven't done it, so I don't know if we're gonna need more.
All right, welcome back, Duke.
Should send me.
Thank you for speaking up about the ad. I didn't realize
you got better movement,
that you were getting hit by the ad breaks.
And then for
I do run them to keep pre-roll ads off the stream, but I am glad you spoke up, so I didn't keep talking, thinking you could hear what I was saying.
Let's do Shadow. So Elf and Shadow, you guys go. Sweet.
Okay.
So
We'll see if we
you get hit by the debuff and you run over there right away.
Well, Disjoint, I would argue
Yes, yeah, as soon as you go
that it's
down,
not possible to
those
have
people
a
get over
liberal
there quick.
democracy under
And, you know,
capitalism,
you don't necessarily have to.
because capital
like,
will inherently
It's not a big deal. The big
leverage
ad dies
its
quick. You're there
power
to make sure none of the little ads get
to
in
tilt the scales of that democracy.
until the rest of the group meets up with you.
Like, that's kind of why democracy is almost an inherently flawed concept, because we create markets with winners and losers. We create an imbalance of power where money is literally power. And then we try and have a liberal democracy. Like,
Yes.
that doesn't work. Those concepts are inherently incompatible.
5, 4, 3, 2.
All right. We're gonna actually pull a new boss for the first time.
Okay, right on it, Sods. We're good.
All right, Nods get the ball first. That's sweet.
Spread.
Grab him back.
That's Blood Curdle.
Here we go, Oz. Spread those circles.
Circle spread.
Run out. Keep moving.
The tentacles probably hurt a lot more on Mythic as well.
Safe now. Watch your stay away from lines.
There's probably going to be, yep, there's the
Careful.
beam.
Try to space in it so that way whoever's on
Yeah,
the
that was
will get
perfect.
Wonder if he rotates faster. Nope, rotates at the same speed. Oh, Blood Curdle. Okay.
the look up where
I like this Mythic mechanic.
Yeah,
where
like,
it forces you to
like,
spread.
Try to get it just in front of like that extra ad, unless it's, you know, complete
Oh,
opposite.
oh, oh, oh. What am I doing? Just fucking chilling out as the beam bears down on me. Fucking wake up.
Yeah,
This
bounce up.
continues
Make sure you're in that evens.
my personal experience raiding in World of Warcraft,
Spread these circles.
where the mythic fight feels like the actual fight. Like, after you do the mythic fight, you
So,
just
yeah,
can't
we just don't wanna
do
be,
the other
like,
fights,
Right there.
The-
beam.
lower difficulty fights, because the mythic one is like, oh no, this is the way the fight's supposed to be. It's got all the stuff.
Yeah, like right here.
It's got all the aspects that make it a good fight.
Spread.
Spread these circles.
our DPS is low.
Ads didn't go down in time.
No, not at all.
Watch your feet. Run.
Run out.
Well,
Well, we'll
So
wipe
like,
it, but
just,
yeah.
just sit in and
we're
not-
about to get Ripperino'd here. See you tomorrow, Disjoint. Thanks for dropping by.
Yeah, pick up, you know, pick up some cleave definitely. If not, kind of full AoE, and then blows. If you have like a slow, you can grab without hurting too much damage. Keep those ads.
Yeah, this
out.
kind of shit is
Make sure
why I
you keep
love
them
Mythic
down.
raiding. Because once you
Too
experience the Mythic fight, it's like, oh,
slow.
oh, okay.
So something needs to tweak there.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, like I said, I would just go Mythic Plus build. Like, the only thing that really make us is the circles that go around us. You overlap them.
What'd you get him to?
I would disagree
Let's
on
see.
going M plus builds. The
57%.
isn't the big issue. We need
Not
more
bad for a
single
first
target
pull.
on the big ads. Like, AoE just
57%,
save that.
one total
The
wipes.
little ads aren't the issue here. They're dying. So like normal cleave is more than enough. Its single target needs to be higher to kill the big ads that have to die.
Yeah,
That's
probably
the
just
issue.
most classes I've looked at least.
Well,
that I play anyways have
and-
like a raid.
And
cleave
Crow
option,
just
that's
said
probably
that,
good.
but I'm a
Yeah,
I'm a
we'll-
marksman
we'll-
hunter, so I have to
You could also
Um,
go to Archon and look at this particular fight on Mythic and copy that build if you wanted.
I have to go AOE.
Yeah, mine was almost all single target from some of
Yeah,
those builds.
that's my point. It should be single target. Like you don't need cleave to kill the baby ads. They have no health anyway.
But yeah, we might be able to get this
Liquid
tonight. That'd be
and
pretty sick.
Shadowstorm, you guys swap sides. You're now odd. Liquid even, or liquid. You're now evens. Shadow, you're odds.
I'm glad he called that out. I did not see that he had switched me, so. You told me going for the far ad?
Yes. Yep.
gonna be one that is actually like the tanker one that requires an interrupt. There's one of those, and then 3 of the ones that are spawning baby ads that are channeling.
Yeah, and the interrupt isn't off. Like the tanks can get it, right? It doesn't come often enough that you guys can't get it.
Yeah, tanks should be able to get the interrupt. That's on it.
So yeah, none of the DPS should even target that until all of the ad spawning ones are dead. Just have some.
But yes. Anyway, I did say no politics. Let's resume the WoW podcast. Obviously.
So hopefully we're good.
Yeah.
We'll see. Welcome everyone.
Hi.
To the podcast, and we've got so much to talk about today.
We do.
Oh wait, I should probably change the screen.
Yeah, where are our faces?
Yeah, where are they? I don't even.
Okay, so there's apparently a large portion of technical
That's
issues.
always the Venn diagram.
I guess it wouldn't be the WoW podcast, obviously, if there weren't 10-ish minutes of technical issues. I love them, but they got to figure out a way to fix these technical issues.
More right than it would have been, just
Anyway.
after that ad, and it would have been perfect.
Let's skip that part.
A podcast, obviously, episode number
31.
I am your host, Taliesin.
And I'm Evital.
And we are your hosts.
Hello, we are here. We are
Time
live.
to press on the right screen and
Hooray!
welcome to the podcast, everyone.
They got it to work.
Today of all days.
Are you excited to talk about World of Warcraft, Evital?
Yes, I am
What you're
actually.
excited to do?
I am.
I am too. I'm excited to talk about the World of Warcraft, even though, hey, guess what happened when I opened my vault today?
Hey, what happened?
Wow, hey, I thought I noticed that Evitel got herself a secret lab chair. That's interesting. Because I also have
All right, let's do
a
it.
secret lab chair. But she specifically had a different chair very recently.
And you'll have to wait and see because we'll talk about it later on. We've got so much to talk about today. We are talking about patch 10.0.7.
Hey, are you taking it,
And
Crow?
it's not like a,
Since
it's
it's
just
purple.
been announced. What's it going to be like kind of thing. No,
Yeah, even
it's,
shifting to
we've
purple,
played
Oz
this
to moon.
TTR for like a week.
I'm gonna sit here, and then we're
That
moving.
in you.
We've got a genuine kind of view on whether this is going to be a good patch or not.
Right.
I know that you've been looking at a lot of the transmogs and things that are going to be coming in that patch as well.
I have, yeah.
So we're going to be talking about
Yeah,
that.
probably right in
And
there.
we are going to be talking about
Stay
the
away
new
from lines.
Titan
Perfect.
Discs quest that
Ooh.
dropped this reset as well. With I would consider some lore, which I think actually does kind of chart out
Red circles.
well, probably the story of the World So Saga and where they're going with it,
Run
not
out.
their big kind of concept with it.
I would agree.
It does feel like Tally's mic is still a little quiet. Hopefully they fix that.
I would say that it's in stone at this point.
Oh, I see what you did, but other people don't know what you did because they don't know what you're talking about. They haven't even watched it because not everyone's a complete loser who goes out and does the Titan Disc quest. Literally the first thing that happens every single week. So yeah, and we will be relying on our sound checkers in the chat as well to let us know if we're having any audio issues. Because we do have something
Yeah,
wrong
wipe
with
it up
one of our
the
channels.
8
We can't quite work out
minutes.
what it is yet.
Wipe it up has
but
been
we will,
called.
and then we'll get to the bottom of it one day, and it will be good. Even if I have to replace that compressor
Piece
Evitel,
by piece.
that's what I'm going to do. So welcome.
Stay away
And so
from
you were
lines.
here last week. Last week was one of those episodes, where obviously I hate missing the podcast. The podcast is one of my favorite
Feel you.
things to do. Yeah, no, seriously, and I hate missing it. But we couldn't because you had snot.
We did
coming out
lose
literally
no
every
die
orifice.
fairly
I
early,
did,
so I
it
mean
was
that
Never
did
seen
hurt,
it.
but
Never seen
You
it.
too,
Snot
Duke
eating
Vulture.
is
Have a good
bad.
crash.
Have them.
Love talking to you.
Snot
Always
eating
great to have you in the chat, sir. In fact, here, before you go,
About your bum and vajayjay, it was everywhere. It was no, don't talk about it. I don't want to.
I'm going to
It's your
VIP you.
favorite topic of
So
conversation.
congratulations, Duke Vulture. You are now a VIP.
So I'm really
Thank
sorry
you
we didn't
for
manage to
elevating the
progress it. I was
discourse
like, oh, no.
at twitch.tv/thedeacons.
let's keep that until
You are most welcome here,
cool
sir.
where we don't have anyone dead.
Have a good crash.
See what happens then.
I was actually quite glad we didn't.
I
do
too
that.
look forward to when I can crash. That'll be great.
Yeah, well, not PTR,
You have a
but
good one,
the
sir.
announcement
we'll just
for
switch to
patch
Warriors, so-
10.0.7, and
No
a
doubt your
surprise
odds.
announcement for
Glad
patch
you're-
10.0.7.
I know, I was so confused. I thought that I'd missed the WoW Direct,
rebuff.
which is coming up next week. I was like,
So did I.
I was like,
What's up with
I
the
was like,
res not reaching me? That's really weird.
I literally missed the announcement.
However, you saying you were confused on that particular day is not saying much because you didn't really know what your name was.
I
to
had
be
no
fair. You're
idea
like,
what was happening.
and I was like, look, you need to get up and cook for me and my family. Come
Yeah,
on, let's go.
exactly.
But and so yeah.
Wife?
No, that's not what I did at all. We called off the podcast and all sorts. But yeah, I also thought that because I saw it pop up. I was like working away, doing other things. I was playing World of Warcraft, let's be real. And I wasn't on stream though or anything like that. And so when that news popped up, and I went onto Twitter and everyone was talking about it, just like they are today.
Yes.
No one's talking about anything else today on Twitter, just 10.0.7, which is how I like it. I was like, yeah, what's happened? What's happened with the did I miss this? Because it was a proper like World of Warcraft stream. With devs and hosts and talking about the Isle and things like that. And we're going to talk about it in depth after we've gone over all like our latest stuff in the World of Warcraft, Evie. So what have you been up to this week?
Well, first of all, I'm going to give a shout out to the super chats that have already come through.
Ooh.
We had some super chatters in the chat doing
Super
their
chats
thing.
in the
Thank you so
first
much,
10
guys.
minutes?
We
That's crazy.
Review those at the very end of the podcast. So if you have any questions, any comments, anything you'd like us to discuss at the end of this podcast, grab a super chat and let us know. There's also Tally. There's a new feature on YouTube streams called Goals.
Yeah,
So
we
it's
even
basically-
stick
Wait,
and
we
go
are those
purple.
goals.
Exactly.
You are. We don't need them on our screen. We are the embodiment of gold. Yo, you want to be a middle-aged person who prioritizes playing World of Warcraft and collecting transmogs and cool mounts over basically anything else in life? Yeah, we are your goals,
It's
right?
true.
Absolutely.
So yeah, maybe in the future we'll do like a little goal for the podcast.
Watch your feet.
But for now, because that button is there and it's like it's in my face. But anyway, thank you, super chatters. But yeah, if you want us to talk about anything, drop one of those in chat and we'll get to you at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Circles.
I logged on bright and early today, and I needed, a bit of a cheer me up because I had some bad dreams, and I was really excited this morning because I had worked really hard on my main to fill out my Mythic Plus track on my Great Vault.
Yeah, it should be about
with
purple.
plus 10s and
Ooh.
Here we go, right on us.
because I now have my
one of your
Keystone
guys
Hero,
is
by the
over
way.
at Triangle.
2,500.
Wow.
Yep,
Pop, pop,
Neep
pop,
and,
pop, pop. Pretty
Shadow.
awesome. Yeah, pretty
Spread
like,
these.
entirely pumped as well.
Make sure you're in this odd.
Yeah, it's easier on a healer. I know it's easier on a healer, and I know that people are starting to get into Disc a bit more this season now as well. I would say it's probably the second most popular healer in Mythic Plus this season. So, like, I'm not pretending that pupping is easy and everyone should be able to do it because I can do it, because I know that, I've got a healer, and I know how to
Spin.
play
Doing
the best I can for the
so there it is.
green side,
But
you guys don't have
yeah, I
a
was
lot
pretty
of
pleased with that.
time
Got my
to
2,500. Got the amazing reward from 2,500, which is the mythic effects on all of your tier armor, helms, and shoulders. Account wide as well,
Makes
which
me
is
jealous.
incredible. Yeah, it's
Makes
so.
me a little jealous. So
Especially,
do I.
no, I know why. It's because you want that mythic effect. It's because it's amazing.
Listen, Tally, I'm never going to be jealous of you because I play a
Run out,
for
run out.
9-4. I actually look good in the Sylvanas trance.
Yeah, it's true. It's
true.
true. I spent all
No.
my tendies on that.
Vicious.
And it did not look good on my character. I was like, I had like
make sure you regroup with your
bias
team.
regret.
Savage.
You're like,
I was,
I don't look so good.
No, I was like, this is
It's
not
like when you buy a pair of jeans and you're like, these are such a good idea. And they put
Sure,
them on
in the
and you're like,
evens.
maybe the leather was too much.
Or maybe some tweed high-waisted trousers.
Are you kidding me? It was always
Sorry, I could have done
you
that.
kidding me? It was always incredible.
Yeah, but so the reward is amazing. Like genuinely, a proper good reward for getting 2,500. I'll vaguely try and go for like 3k now, but if I don't get there, it's absolutely fine. But what I did do was I filled up my entire row with plus 10s because my main mythic track gear is the only upgrade I have.
Yeah.
So
For you. For you.
So it's 3 choices, which is, like back in the day, that would have been a full vault. So I was really happy about that. I was like, yeah, and I was so excited. I was like, will I get a new mythic helm or something like that? I was like genuinely.
Were you by
genuinely
yourself?
Excited. And I got a ring with mastery.
You weren't Thero?
And I got 2 neck pieces. So I took off socket. I was really.
That's
What's so bad about a slot?
38%.
A little bit.
We're cooking.
So
We're
now-
cooking
now
here.
I'm like,
Alright,
I'm
progress.
doing that
37%.
Where is it?
Fetch the bolt cutters.
Yeah, we're about to get this guy.
thing
We're
where
getting
I'm
him.
disappointed now.
Just
but
definitely
whenever I
can't
think
lose
about
anyone
the
there. We need all the
future,
deeps to make sure
and
the
what the
ads
future's
die.
going to be like, having to do another 10.
And then, yeah,
having to
be
do another
careful
8
when that
plus 10s
beam's
this
coming,
week,
especially
you know,
to do
like,
some
I know
crew
that
from
would be the case
each.
anyway, but still,
No, the beam looked
it
good.
feels
It was
like
right on
worse.
the ad.
Too
They
hard
just,
about
You know
you know,
when you're
Elf
disappointed in
and
the
Liquid
moment,
just
but then
need
you
to
think
make
about
sure
what
they
the
were
future's going to be like, and that's
back
even worse. That's what I'm feeling
clockwise
right now
ahead,
about
so
my
they were on
great
the
vault,
correct
Yeah.
side of it.
which is definitely the worst
So
thing
I
that
will
has
say
happened
that
today.
there's
Exactly.
still a lot of
Like,
damage going
I
down.
just
have
really
that
upset me.
problem.
And so, but
Had
then I did have like,
but
you know, I had a single like heroic slot from Delves on like 6 different alts. 'Cause,
Okay, a
like,
healer
I
should
just
probably
go
go
along.
with,
My thing
especially
now
when
is
it's that
obviously I'm
far.
not doing a
So
whole
for
track of
evens,
+8 Delves.
cogs, you go with them.
Oh, I'm so
That
tired of
separate
doing
ad.
those actually.
Yeah,
I'm
are you
kind
still
of
doing
done.
them? Are they still upgrades for you?
I mean, I could probably get some new shoes or whatever. No, the thing is, I'm at the point
Some
where I can
new
only really do keys and
shoes.
stuff to get upgrades,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
it feels a bit pointless.
So
want me to
have you
go
got all
DPS?
of these? What are
don't know.
the World Soul events around the map? Just going, hey,
Oh, we
hey,
do?
Heavy, don't you want to?
I'm like,
Oh,
no.
you want to see a
Well,
memory
like
from
just-
Answer?
I don't actually.
Oh,
Heavy,
like not
do you
leaving.
see that time when there was some writing?
I just meant to kill the ads.
I get a coffer key for your delve. What do you think about that? Eh?
Oh, wow.
But you
Add
know
that to
I
my
mean, I
collection of like
think
50
unless
copper
we're
keys.
hitting
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
DPS check,
Bringing
we
copper
should
keys on my
just
main,
five
and all
bill
my
for
alts
now.
like scrabbing around in
I
the
think
dirt
we've
for them.
got 'em
Every
as long
week they're
as
like,
the
okay,
two
well, I guess I'll go and
people
put
are
some, like,
there and
glow
don't get
things
cut off
and
by
some
the beam and
lamps
die.
in,
I think
that.
Cog will go with
Aloe
for
get my easy free
for,
coffee. Apart from
evens,
that, I don't know what to do. Really. I
chaos,
would
go
love
with
to be
for
able to
odds
transfer
the
coffee
twosome.
keys between characters.
Yeah.
Make that stuff account wide. Give
Agreed.
me that. Yeah, I always want more. I always want more, Blizz. Make it happen. I want that stuff. So yeah, I have like I do 2 delves on each one, and like I have
Okay,
a
gives
single
you
piece of
something.
pick.